I'm going to show you something short and sweet that finishes with a stunning and unexpected knockout blow. This is the game between young Krzysztof Duda playing white against Ding Liren. It's the second set of the quarterfinals of the Goldmoney Asian Rapid Tournament. I hope you caught all that. But the important thing to know is that in this game, Duda was 2-1 down and he's in a must-win situation. He needed to win this game to get to a tiebreak. And it's a two knights, and Duda doesn't play d3, which could well lead into a gioco piano after d3, bishop c5. Instead, he goes for knight g5. This crude attack on the f7 pawn. d5 from Ding. Pawn takes pawn. Now, if knight takes, I'm sure you know this. This is the fried liver attack, which gives white a massive attack. But that didn't happen, of course. Knight a5 is the best continuation. A pawn sacrifice that goes way back into the 19th century. Check. c6. And the bishop has to go back, so black is gaining time. You push the knight back. And perhaps the most popular move here is knight f3. But black has pretty decent compensation after this. This is a very well-known line because basically that knight is in a really poor position. Anyway, that's another story. Instead, knight h3. Again, a very old move. Steinitz played this. Fischer played this. You'll find a game where Fischer played that in his classic books, My 60 Memorable Games. And there that game went bishop c5, but bishop d6 instead from Ding. d3, castles. In fact, Ding has had this before. His opponent was Aronian, and Aronian played knight c3. Anyway, castles, it's kind of similar. And in this position, Ding played pawn to c5. By the way, if you take here, that doesn't necessarily help black, because this bishop is going to come to this diagonal, skewering the king's position. And, well, it's nice to have the two bishops. But c5 instead. So that leaves this knight at the edge of the board. Knights on the rim are dim. And now, well, the move one would like to make perhaps is f4, but then we definitely will take. And after the exchange of bishops, that doesn't look very nice at all. White is way behind in development. So c5 played and bishop f3. So what's the point of c5? The point of c5 was to play knight c6 and bring the knight back into play, but that's the point of bishop f3, one of the points. So knight c6 isn't possible. King h1. So basically Duda realizes this knight is in a dreadful position and he wants to bring it back into play via g1. But it is pretty slow. Look at these pieces all on their starting blocks. Now some interesting moves. Ding goes for bishop c7. Rook b6 I quite like as well, in order to bring the knight back into the middle. But bishop c7 has a similar idea. Knight g1 and queen d6. Obviously threatening to open up this diagonal. Therefore g3 and then knight c6. So he has managed to bring that errant knight from the side of the board into the middle. So it's going to come onto this wonderful outpost. And I think it's quite clear that black has excellent compensation for the pawn, just in terms of development, if nothing else, because black is basically starting the middle game, whereas white has not yet fully developed. More than that, black has a very pleasant space advantage with these two pawns carving out more territory in the centre. Knight a3, looking to gain a tempo against the queen, and knight d4. So the knight hits that absolutely wonderful square and looks at that light squared bishop, which would be quite a prize considering that that diagonal is open. So knight c4, which is the kind of move when you're playing a rapid game that you would sort of make automatically. It looks so natural to bring the knight into play and to attack the queen. But after queen a6, that's actually rather awkward for white. Because, well, this is what happened. Of course, that bishop needs to be saved. Bishop g2. And now pawn to e4. So this starts the process of undermining the knight on c4. If that's taken, then queen takes c4. And that pawn is very annoying for white. Starts to claim some nice squares. So let's see. Well, bishop e3 was played here. What about pawn to b3? Well, in that case, you could just build up with rook d8. You could also take on d3. And here's a funny move. You can actually play rook takes b3 because that pawn is pinned. I mean, maybe that's playable for white because at least the knight survives. But one could just play rook d8 and hold the tension. It's quite nice to keep this pawn on e4. Bishop e3, and indeed, Ding just plays rook d8. Usually a good idea to put the rook opposite the queen. So the queen steps aside. And again, don't break the tension here. Bishop b7. Let's just keep white guessing. I do like bishop b7. And of course, that's still impossible because the knight is hanging. b3 looks really plausible, supporting the knight. And now Ding swings the queen across. So just lending some more support here, starting to look in this direction as well. And now Duda, well, he's obviously keen to try to bring his pieces out. He takes on e4. Was that wise? It's tricky. It's just a very difficult position. Knight takes e4. Look at those two fantastic pieces in the middle of the board. And here, well, you know, one would wish to push that knight out of the way. But I can understand why Duda didn't want to play that move. It looks incredibly risky, considering that black can sacrifice a piece. And you can see that that space that black has means that he can switch his pieces to the king side very easily, whereas white's pieces, in particular the queen, are shut out of the defense here. So, you know, you can imagine a sort of switch of the rook round here, for example, or the queen very easily entering the attack, maybe, you know, via f6 and h4. Very unpleasant position to defend. Anyway, f3 did not happen. Instead, white played rook e1. Okay, over to you. I'll have a quick slurp of tea. You have a little think. What would you play if you had the black pieces? Try to move quickly. Remember, it's rapid play. So rook e1 just played by white, and it is black to play. Cheers. Black to play. Well, after this move, queen d5, Duda hit the canvas and there was no getting up. He was out for the count. That is a straight knockout. White resigned. Out of the blue. I mean, it's quite extraordinary. Let's have a look why. So, first of all, a very clear threat. Knight takes g3, or indeed knight takes f2, and queen takes bishop checkmate. Okay, so what happens if we block the diagonal? Well, once again, it's that move, knight takes pawn. And here, queen h5 check. You have to put a piece in the way. And then bishop takes f3, and white's king position is just collapsing. Threat, queen takes knight. And if king h2, well, you can play bishop takes g3, that's pretty good. You can also take here and play queen f3 and take on g3. And, well, mate follows shortly. I mean, it is absolutely devastating. And if we go back, what are the alternatives? Well, there are no alternatives, really. I mean, that's just it. I mean, if you take this here, it is absolutely crushing. It's extraordinary. After queen d5, there really is no way back. You can't defend this bishop. And that was game over. So, Liren won that second set by 3-1. So that means he goes through into the semi-finals. And we had Wesley So was defeated by Magnus Carlsen. That was tight. That went to the tiebreak, but Magnus prevailed there. And Levon Aronian defeated Arjun Erigaisi. That was pretty tight, actually. Very tight. But Levon came through. So Arjun did incredibly well, but didn't quite make it. And in the other one, oh yes, we had Artemiev, well, crushed Anish Giri. So we have two very interesting semi-finals. We have Ding against Artemiev, and we have Carlsen against Aronian. Don't miss it. Do join me for live commentary on Chess24. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And do consider supporting us via Patreon or PayPal. Thanks for watching.